So they spray these plantations almost every day. Unbelievable. Super, super strong fungicide that is totally carcinogenic. And the people's houses, they live right here and they just spray right over the plantation. The bananas are wrapped in blue bags, which protect the bananas from insects. That's why it's so important to support small farmers and to really learn where your food's coming from, because this is not right. This is not right to do to the people that live around here and the people that work in these plantations, and to us that live near here. And these stalks pile up with so much waste and they're all contaminated and it ends up in rivers, and these bags actually go down the rivers and end up in the ocean, and turtles and other sea life think they're jellyfish and suffocate on them. We find often blue bags washed up on the beach right where we live in Punta. This is a real tragedy. This bit of bridge was the final bit of road that connected the southern Caribbean coast with Limon. And they used to, whoa! It's like war! The war against the pests and bugs and nematodes and fungicide. It's just even the sound standing here, it feels so aggro, so aggressive. And bananas are so sweet and delicious. I love the smell of chemicals in the afternoon. Check it out. This area is not for people.
Hello, everybody. So it's not for people, but it's for the food that people eat. It's incredible. My name is Stephen Brooks, and I grew up in Miami, Florida. Very typical suburban, gringo, suburban lifestyle. And when I was 20 years old, I went on vacation, and I went down to Costa Rica. And I thought it was beautiful. The rivers, the rainforests, great country. And it wasn't until I got to the Caribbean side, I decided to go to a town called Bribri, which is the administrative center of the indigenous Bribri people. And here I am just flying with excitement about the place. It's so beautiful, just incredible. And then as I'm meandering through the rainforest, there's waterfalls cascading down on the road. You come around this corner, and as far as my eyes could see were banana plantations. And I remember feeling really sick about it, feeling uncomfortable, feeling, wow, this is not right. What's going on here? And being a very curious person that I am, I decided to drive into the plantation. And as I'm driving into it, I actually witnessed a plane, just like the one you just saw, come swooping down. My eyes and my face are burning, and it went right over a playground full of indigenous children. And I've heard many speakers today talk about that aha moment. I felt like I was in deep slumber, and then all of a sudden jolted awake. How in the hell can this be happening? We could fly around the world in jets. Now we can video chat on our iPhones, and we still do things like this. These beautiful, humble, ancient, mystical people that are just, by circumstances, trapped into this world. And it blew my mind. I was a recovering Grateful Dead addict and didn't know what I was going to do. Immediately called my parents from the one phone in town and said, Mom, Dad, I'm moving to Costa Rica, and I'm going to see what I could do about this, because some really bad things going on. And I also started to think about, who is responsible for this? This is awful. And then I realized every day as I sliced my Chiquita bananas over my Cinnamon Life, Cinnamon Life cereal, so good. I started to realize that I was responsible. You know, every time I'd push my mom to go to the store and buy another bunch of Chiquitas, that people like us that had no idea, totally ignorant to what we were funding when we bought those bananas, that we were voting for the company. We were voting for Chiquita. We were voting, and everything from the clothes we were buying at the Gap to the fuel that we're putting into our cars, that we're voting for those companies and the way they do business. So what am I going to do? I started a company called Costa Rican Adventures in 1996. Started bringing high school students from the U.S., Canada, and Europe with the goal to show them how beautiful Costa Rica was. The beauty of the rainforest and the rivers and the beaches, but also of the people, and to see the rainforest through indigenous people, through the Afro-Caribbean people, through the Costa Rican scientists. But then to really learn about the reality of the rainforest destruction, the reality of this cultural decimation that has just taken millions of years, thousands of years to create these cultures of how to collect water and how to grow food and what we can eat and what we can't eat and what plants we could add together to make us loopy, and all these amazing years of just figuring this stuff out is just being wiped out. And then also showing these multinational corporations and our role in that. And obviously we don't want to send these kids home all depressed. We wanted to then show solutions. So we bought a farm off the grid on the southern Caribbean coast of Costa Rica. It started at 30 acres and grew to 85. And it's being off the grid, meaning there's no road to get there, there's no municipal water, there's no electricity. So long before green was a color, we were forced into figuring these kind of things out. Yo! One back. So we built all our houses from fallen trees, and these weren't, we weren't thinking, oh, we're gonna be eco, we're gonna build our house from fallen trees. It was necessity. That's what was there, it was fallen trees on our land, so the wood we got from fallen trees. All of our solar, go back one, all of our electricity was solar power, and back then, we was very early on, we had to bring in the solar panels and stuff, and then there was no food stores, so we started growing food, and you would never have guessed, but I'm an extremely passionate person. And I got really, really, really into plants, useful plants, not just food plants, but medicinal plants and plants that are used for building. And I started going all over the world collecting these plants. And then next thing I knew, all these people were flocking to our farm. And it was kind of like this revolving door community. So we were learning about solar, and we were learning about building techniques like thatch and bamboo, building with bamboo. So I was attracting, all these, hippies, but also I was attracting, sustainable development professors from Harvard and students that were, architects. And next thing you knew, every day around the dinner table, conversations were springing and a real community was forming. Next. Gatherings of up to 250 people with from 25, 30 countries. One day I'm sitting there and this guy says to me, Stephen, this is now, we fast forward to 2003, this is going on 8 years, thousands of people a year are coming through our farm. 2003, a guy looks at me and he's like, Stephen, I really like what you've done here, the farming, the building, the fruit trees, the students, but how many times a year do you fly back to the States? I was like, I don't know, 3, 4 times. He's like, well, did you know that every time you fly in a plane for 3 hours, each seat on the plane uses the fuel as if you were to drive your car for 800 hours without stopping? I was like, no, I didn't know that, but screw you, man. I'm growing all my food. I barely drive in cars. What are you giving me a hard time for? So this was May of 2003. November 10th of 2003, we organized 26 freaks, and we drove in 2 buses and a truck from San Francisco to Costa Rica on 100% recycled vegetable oil. Yeah. It was incredible. We got so much press. We were on the front page of La Reforma in Mexico and front page of Moral in Nicaragua, and Primer Impacto would follow us country to country. Then we did it again in 2004, and we had all these contacts from the year before, so it really, today at breakfast I was telling somebody, oh yeah, I remember when that was in the newspaper. Keep going. And here a microphone would get, kind of like right now, would get stick in front of you and say, okay, what do you want to tell millions and millions of people? And again, I just felt like the theme was we got to figure out the companies that we're voting for. We got to figure out where our fuel is coming from, where our food is coming from, where our every flows are coming from, because it's really, really affecting the world. And we kept it going. Then we started buses in the States, and we were visiting schools, and at that time started a food company, so we're doing promotions for the food company outside of Whole Food stores. And our bus, it was all built with bamboo and coconut floors and recycled paper countertops, and our stove used alcohol. We had natural latex cushions and solar panels. So we were just this moving ecological showroom as an incredible platform. It was our office, it was our home, it was our means of communicating to press and really getting the word out there. On our trips through Mexico, really experiencing the state of agriculture, really experiencing those giant billboards that all you really see in some parts of rural Mexico are just giant chemical companies tricking these farmers. I remember being in San Cristobal, and there was this hardware store that had all this writing in, I guess, Mayan language, and you couldn't read any of it, but all of a sudden it was like Roundup. It's like, ah. So, and then I met all these incredibly heroic farmers that obviously their products were going to cost more because they were such small batches. But being from the States and being from that culture, I realized there was a growing amount of people that really wanted to support farmers like that. We launched our company, Kopali Organics, and go back one. And instead of finding products that we could find really cheap and then, mark up a lot and create big margins, we sought out people that really needed their stories told. And that's kind of how our company started, and it's been quite a journey. Next. And these farmers, they treat the earth like it's an extension of their bodies. They treat their workers like they're their own families, because they are their own families. And you could taste it. The food is so much more than just the vitamins and minerals that the scientists are able to identify. And started working with farmers in countries all over the world. You can go ahead. That's cacao, by the way. If anyone, people love chocolate, a lot of people have never seen cacao. That's the cacao fruit. And now the concept was good for you, good for farmers, and good for Earth. And as all this was going on, I knew Punta Moana wasn't where I wanted to end up ideally and live. I loved it as an education center. I loved it as this revolving community, but it was getting harder for my parents as they got older. I was about to have kids, getting ready to, so I figured I got to set something up next. So I formed Kopali Communities, immediately into that. And we bought a property 45 minutes outside of San Jose, next to a town that National Geographic says has the best climate on Earth. And instead of having a big giant golf course and being like a golf community, we became an organic food community. The center of our community, it's greenhouses and fruit trees, and the goal is to just bliss out with food and find people that what we have in common is that we love healthy and organic food. And then the concept of design. Can we live where our food comes from? Right now, we live all crunched up in cities, and the food comes from far away and has to transfer back and forth. Is it possible to design and mesh these concepts? And then water. Water. We just got an incredible talk about the importance of water. And that was a really key aspect of why we choose this spot. I became obsessed with diversity. Fruits especially, and started collecting them from all over the world. Just to go through a few, this is Biriba, or Rollinia. It's a cherimoya relative from South America, the Amazon. So this is just a random picture of outside my house. And there I am. And what just looks like a bunch of bush. Okay, then next thing you know, right next to our house, we have arrowroot as a thickener. Katuk, which is an edible, super nutritious green from Borneo. Ornamental plants, wandering Jew. This cane grew right on our land that built our walls. We're growing taro and greens like Okinawa spinach and squash and Brazilian spinach and cranberry hibiscus and noni and our solar clothes dryer. And it's all together and so diverse and all mixed and meshed together. And you would see this picture and just see green. But there's so many layers and so many different plants all mixed in there. Oh, ylang. Next. Again, permaculture is about mimicking nature. Whoever it is, God, whoever it is has just done such an amazing job. So how can we, and all these plants, whether it's peanuts or poppies or corn or cotton, corn or cotton, they all grew wild and they grew perfectly. So we try to mimic that system. And all these different layers. You got sweet potato and cranberry hibiscus, and I'm going to go ahead of you. Sun hemp, which is a nitrogen fixer, and bananas and cinnamon and egg fruits and everything, just filling in all those layers. Ground cover, small shrubs, vines, trees, overstory trees. Being intentional about making them all useful. Next. Skip it. There's so many. I'm going to go quickly through these. This is aki, or vegetable brain. It tastes like scrambled eggs with cheese. We grow 40 kinds of bananas. That's called praying hands bananas. The fingers never separate. Mangosteen, queen of all fruits, the best in the world. Beautiful flowers. That's called brownea. Jackfruits. Permaculture. We look for multi-functional plants. Jackfruits, the part around the seeds tastes like juicy fruit-flavored gummy bears. The seeds could be boiled and taste like chestnuts. The glue, the sap is like glue. Those are called sacha inchis, super high omega nut from the Amazon. Abu, another Amazonian fruit. Delicious. Abundance. More abundance. Just right outside our kitchen. And beyond the design of our food, this is a methane digester. Our toilet's up here. Poop goes in there. Produces methane. We cook with it in our kitchen. Trying to figure out what kind of things are we spending a lot of energy to get, and put gas for cooking was one of them. Next. Laundry. How can we do our laundry? Multifunction. Let's do our laundry and get some exercise. So permaculture, give me one more minute. Permaculture, it comes from two words, permanent and culture. It was, the term was coined by Bill Mollison in the 1970s. And he was living in Tasmania, Australia, which was, at the time, very localized food system, very small water catchments. Garbage was being dealt with consciously. And all of a sudden, the Australian government started really getting involved. And Bill Mollison was like, whoa, what is going on here? Him and his student, David Holgram, they wrote this book called Permaculture. And it was a manual, designer's manual, ecological design that was rooted in sustainable living with an ethics based in caring for the planet, caring for the earth and the people and all the beings. And I took this course in 1998 and it just blew my mind. Just a philosophy of ecological design. And again, mimicking nature, multifunctional. Permaculture is so much more than just the way we design our homes, our gardens, our farms. It's about the way we design our lives. Bill Mollison used to say, how can we maximize hammock time? Yeah. It makes me wonder, how can we play more in our life than work? Right now we work, and then play a little bit. Work, play a little bit. How can we, or maybe we can even diminish the difference between work and play. Can we? I don't know. I hope so. Yeah! I really, really look forward to living in a world where richness is not measured by the amount of money in our bank accounts, but by the quality of our lives, our businesses, and our companies. The success isn't just based on margin and sales, but by the amount of lives that we improve and our overall effect on the world. Muchas gracias, San Miguel. Te quiero mucho.